A waitress was fired after helping an elderly man at the restaurant where she worked. What no one expected was that a millionaire would knock on her door right after, and what happened next caused a surprising turn of events that left everyone shocked. It was a cold morning, and Camilla, like every day, was getting ready for work at the restaurant where she had worked for several years. She had always had a kind nature, and this endeared her to all the customers. Her smile lit up the room, and her warm energy brought a special touch to the restaurant, which was already well attended. Ramiro's restaurant was an elegant place, but with very strict rules. Ramiro, the owner, was a shrewd businessman, always focused on profit and rules. He believed that respecting the rules was the basis for success. No excesses, he always said with a serious expression, while watching his team with attentive eyes. That day, Camilla was working in her usual routine, passing between the tables, serving the customers with kindness and affection. But something unexpected happened. Around mid-afternoon, an elderly man entered the restaurant. He looked tired, with a sad expression on his face and simple clothes. He walked slowly to a table, his unsteady steps revealing a certain tiredness, but his dignified posture was still present. The elderly man was ignored for a few minutes until one of the waiters approached, without much empathy, and told him to wait. When the man sat down at the table, Ramiro, who was at the back, watched from afar and, in a tone of contempt, muttered to the waiter, "I don't want anyone here who can't pay for the food. He doesn't belong here." The waiter, visibly uncomfortable, nodded and walked away. Ramiro's attitude was very clear. Customers should fit the profile of the restaurant, and that elderly man didn't agree with that. Camilla, who was at the other end of the room, noticed the situation. Something inside her wouldn't let her ignore the man. When she approached to take a customer's drink, her eyes met the old man's. He smiled shyly, trying to hide his embarrassment at being there. She felt that something needed to be done. Camilla, without thinking twice, approached the old man's table. "What would you like today?" she asked with a welcoming smile. The man, surprised, looked at her and, in a soft tone, replied, "I just wanted a simple dish, Mom. But if that's not possible..." "It's okay." Camilla smiled even wider and, with a sparkle in her eyes, said, "Of course, sir. Don't worry. I'll get you something right away." She walked away, but before reaching the kitchen, she glanced quickly at Ramiro. He was busy but didn't seem to be paying attention. Camilla knew that if he found out he could lose his job, but the old man's needs spoke louder. She asked the kitchen for a simple but tasty dish and brought it to his table personally. "Here you go, sir. I hope you like it. And please don't hesitate to ask for anything you need," she said, placing the plate on the table with a gesture of kindness. The old man looked at Camilla with teary eyes. "Thank you very much, young lady. God bless you," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. Camilla smiled shyly and returned to her post, but little did she know that her kind gesture would not go unnoticed by Ramiro. A short time later, Ramiro approached her, his face closed and his expression angry. He already knew what had happened, and his accusatory gaze left no doubt as to what was about to happen. "Camilla, come to my office now," he ordered in a cold tone. When she entered the office, tension was in the air. "You know this restaurant has clear rules. What you did is not allowed. Here we only help those who can pay, and you defied my rules," Ramiro shouted, slamming his hand on the table. "This is unacceptable." Camilla, surprised and frightened, tried to explain herself. "I just wanted to help that man. He had nowhere to eat." "I don't care about your good intentions, Camilla," Ramiro interrupted, staring at her. "You disrespected my rules, and that's why you're fired. Pack your things and leave." Camilla was overcome by shock. She felt a wave of sadness and confusion invade her chest. I can't believe what I'm hearing. I needed this job, Ramiro. I have a family to support. But her words made no difference. Ramiro, implacable, had already made his decision. Camilla, her eyes filled with tears, left the office, feeling the weight of injustice, but also feeling that she had done the right thing. She knew that kindness could not be ignored, even if it meant losing her job. With a heavy heart, Camilla gathered her things and left through the back door, leaving behind a restaurant that had once been her refuge, but that now drove her away with a painful lesson about the limits of kindness in a world governed by unforgiving rules. Camilla entered the house, the door closing behind her with a soft click. The silence that surrounded her felt almost heavy, as if the weight of her decision and her dismissal still rested on her shoulders. She slowly took off her shoes, her head bowed, and went to the kitchen, where her mother, Donna Clara, was sitting at the table, preparing dinner. Donna Clara, a simple woman with a generous heart, immediately noticed her daughter's dejected expression. Her eyes, which had always reflected joy and determination, were now clouded with sadness. She dropped the knife she was holding and stood up immediately. "Camilla, what happened, my daughter? You look pale. It looks like you've been through something really hard." "What happened back at the restaurant?" Donna Clara asked, concern evident in her voice. Camilla, unable to hide her pain, sat down at the table, letting out a silent tear. She took a deep breath, trying to compose herself before speaking. "Mom, I was fired. Ramiro sent me away." Her mother approached her, sitting next to her and holding her hand tenderly. "Did he fire you? But why, my daughter? What happened?" Camilla swallowed hard, and the memory of everything that had happened at the restaurant flooded her. She spoke slowly, trying to control her emotions. "I helped an elderly man. He was alone, with no money, nothing. He just wanted a simple dish. But Ramiro didn't like that. He sent me away because of that, Mom, for having helped someone who was in need." Camilla's words came out heavy, as if she was carrying the burden of her own kindness. Donna Clara, listening to her daughter's words, took a moment to digest the pain she was feeling, but soon her face softened into a warm and understanding smile. She squeezed Camilla's hand, her gaze firm and serene. "Camilla, my daughter, you did what was right. You acted with your heart. No matter what happens now, you acted according to what is fair and good. And kindness is never in vain. You'll see," Donna Clara said, her voice full of wisdom. Camilla looked at her mother, still with tears in her eyes, but a little more relieved upon hearing those words. She knew that her mother had always known how to find the truth behind the pain, and the certainty that she had done the right thing began to touch her heart. I know, Mom. But what now? How am I going to support our home? I don't know what to do." The words came out as a sigh of despair, but Donna Clara just smiled softly, as if she had been waiting for this moment. "You will continue, Camilla. You always will. Difficulties will appear, but we always find a way. You have courage and a pure heart. That's what matters," she said, stroking Camilla's hair affectionately. "And those who have courage and kindness always find a way. My love, maybe what seems like the end is just the beginning of something much greater. I believe in you." Camilla, despite her sadness, felt a wave of comfort taking over her. Her mother's gaze, always full of love and trust, gave her the strength to believe that perhaps this was not the end of her story, but rather a new chapter. Donna Clara's words echoed in her mind, and a sense of hope, which she had almost forgotten, began to grow within her. She knew that despite everything, her kindness could not be considered a mistake. Her mother was right. She had done the right thing, and that was something that no one could take away from her. I I will find a way, Mother. I will do my best as I always have, no matter what happens. Camilla replied with renewed determination, feeling the confidence that her mother had always had in her begin to warm her heart. That's right, my daughter. Now let's eat. What matters is that we are together, and together we can overcome anything. Donna Clara smiled, standing up to serve dinner, while Camilla, with a lightness in her heart, knew that her journey was just beginning. Camilla sat on the sofa in the living room, absorbed in her thoughts, reflecting on the conversation with her mother. The house was silent, except for the soft sound of the streets in the distance. She still couldn't fully understand what had happened in the restaurant. But at the same time, a strange and inexplicable feeling that something bigger was about to happen seemed to take over her chest. She was thinking about what she would do next when suddenly the sound of a luxury car coming from the street broke. The silence of the house. She looked out the window and saw a black limousine pulling up in front of her house. Camilla frowned, surprised and curious. Who could it be? The place where she lived was simple, and there was usually no reason for this kind of visit. Her mother also came out of the kitchen, looking confused. Could it be some mistake? Her mother also came out of the kitchen, looking confused. Could it be some mistake? Donna Clara asked with an intrigued but somewhat suspicious expression. Camilla, still not understanding, got up and went to the door. When she opened it, a well-dressed, middle-aged man with dark hair and a serious expression was standing in front of her. He had an imposing bearing, and his expression displayed a mixture of respect and something that she could not immediately identify. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Camilla," he said in a calm and polite voice. "I'm Antonio, and I'd like to talk to you." Camilla, still stunned, looked at him and the limousine behind him, not knowing what to think. Can I help you?" she asked, feeling slightly uncomfortable at the unexpected situation. Antonio smiled kindly. "If you'll allow me, I'd like to come in and explain better. This is an important matter." Camilla, now completely intrigued, opened the door for him to enter. The man followed behind her and sat down in the small living room of the house while Donna Clara watched suspiciously. "Please sit down," Camilla said, trying to hide the curiosity that dominated her heart. Antonio sat down and, with a sigh, began to speak calmly, but with a seriousness that drew attention. "Mrs. Camilla, I know that what I'm about to tell, you may seem strange, but you should know. The man you helped at the restaurant, the old man, he's my father, Don Julian." Camilla froze. Her heart raced when she heard those words. What do you mean?" she asked, still not understanding the scope of the revelation. Antonio looked her straight in the eyes and gently explained, "My father is a humble person, very proud and independent. He prefers to walk around alone, without anyone knowing who he is or what he means to me. He asked me to keep it a secret. But what you did was something rare and dignified. He hasn't forgotten it, and neither have I. When I saw your attitude, my gratitude was immediate." Camilla was stunned. She had never imagined that the simple act of offering a meal to a stranger could have such an impact. She looked at the man, trying to process the magnitude of what he had just said. "But I didn't do anything wrong. I just helped him because he needed it," he replied, still in shock, as if his words didn't correspond to the weight of what was happening. Antonio smiled, recognizing Camilla's humility. "I understand, but the simple fact that you helped without expecting anything in return says a lot about your character. You have a rare kindness, something that many people, in positions like mine, forget to have. I came here today because my father, and now I, would like to thank you in a meaningful way." Camilla was beginning to understand the importance of that moment, but she didn't know how to react. She had only done what any good human being would do, not expecting any reward. But what he said next made her heart beat faster. I want To offer you something, Camilla, Antonio continued. I want my family to help yours, and more than that, I want you to work with me. I have a company, and I see in you the capacity to grow a lot, a talent that, unlike many, is not hidden by pride or ego. Doña Clara, who until then had remained quiet, finally spoke. Are you offering this because she helped you? Don Julian, isn't it out of self-interest? Antonio looked at Donna Clara with a gentle look. No, Mrs. Clara, it's not self-interest. My father and I know that Camilla did what many wouldn't do. Her kindness is worth more than anything material. And that's why I'm here to make sure she has the opportunities she deserves. Camilla, overcome with surprise and emotion, didn't know what to say. She had just lost the job that supported her family, and now, there in front of her, was a man offering her an unexpected future. I don't know what to say, Mr. Antonio. I never imagined something like this, Camilla said, with tears in her eyes, but also with a flame of hope beginning to grow within her. Antonio, with a sincere smile, stood up and looked her in the eyes. You don't need to say anything, Camilla. Just know that kindness always finds a way, and in your case, life has found a way to reward you. I'll be waiting for your answer. Antonio looked straight into Camilla's eyes, as if he could see what she was feeling, a mixture of surprise, gratitude, and a touch of insecurity. He had made her a proposal that seemed so far from reality that Camilla could barely process it. Camilla, Antonio began, his voice calm but firm. I want to help you and your family. I know this situation is not easy, and I also know that you did what you did from the heart. But I believe that you deserve more. I want to offer you a sum of money, enough to ensure that your family will not suffer any more hardships. Camilla stood still for a moment, completely speechless. She had never imagined that a simple act of kindness could result in such a generous offer. She looked at her mother, who was sitting next to her, her eyes filled with emotion. Donna Clara, with her hands clasped together, took a deep breath and in a whisper said, This is a miracle, my daughter. But Antonio didn't stop there. He continued with a calm smile. Besides, I want to offer you something that I believe is even more valuable than money. I want you to work with me. I have a hotel chain, and you have something that is not easy to find in people who work in this industry. You have heart, Camilla. I want you to start working in one of my hotels as part of my team. You will receive full training, and I will support you every step of the way. Camilla felt a whirlwind of emotions inside her. She had always dreamed of having the opportunity to work on something bigger, but she had never had the means or the chance. Her mind was starting to fill with questions and insecurities. I have never worked in hotels. I have no experience. Am I capable? She looked at Antonio, who, as if he knew exactly what she was thinking, said softly, I know. You are wondering if you have what it takes. And the answer is yes. Experience can be taught, but heart and dedication cannot be forged, and you have both. Camilla felt her heart tighten at the sincerity of those words. She knew she was being invited to a rare opportunity, something that could change her life forever, but the insecurity was still there, like a shadow she didn't know how to dispel. I don't know if I can do it, Antonio. I've never worked in a hotel. I don't have that experience. I'm used to the restaurant routine, to the simple things, to everyday life. I don't know if I can adapt to what you're offering me, Camilla said, her voice trembling with doubt. Antonio smiled and stood up. He walked over to the window, looked out at the horizon for a moment, and then turned to her with a look full of conviction. You'll adapt, Camilla. I see something in you that most people don't. An incredible capacity to learn and grow. It's not about what you know now, but about what you can learn. The important thing is to have the desire to grow, to evolve, and I'll be here to help you, to support you every step of the way. You won't be alone. Camilla looked at her mother, who with a soft smile and a look full of pride gave a slight nod of approval. Donna Clara knew that this was the opportunity her daughter deserved. "You've already done more than most people would, Camilla. Now is your chance to shine. Don't be afraid to take this step." With the confidence she found in her mother's words, Camilla looked at Antonio and with a slight smile said, "I accept, Antonio. I will do my best, and I know I can grow with this opportunity. I thank you with all my heart." Antonio smiled back, his expression radiating satisfaction and confidence. "That's what I wanted to hear. Let's start your new journey, Camilla. You have a bright future ahead of you." In the following days, Camilla began her new life. She felt nervous, full of doubts, but also excited about the new challenge that awaited her. Her first week at the hotel was full of learning and adaptation. She spent the first few days receiving intensive training, accompanied by a kind and understanding staff who patiently guided her through each task. Although she still felt a little lost at first, the determination and support she received began to build a new confidence in her heart. Each small step she took was a step forward, and she began to realize that she was more than capable of handling the new job. The training was challenging, but she knew that each effort brought her closer to her goal. Antonio was always there, offering guidance but also the freedom to grow and make decisions for herself. Camilla was learning to be more than just a waitress. She was becoming someone who could one day lead her own team, someone who would inspire others to believe in their potential. She knew the path would not be easy, but she was determined to prove to herself and to the world that she had the strength to achieve her dreams. The news came like a bolt from the blue. Camilla was at her post organizing the reception area when her supervisor, Manuel, approached her with a serious look on his face. "Camilla, I need you for something important," he said, his voice thick with expectation. She looked at him carefully, her heart starting to race. "Sure. What do you need?" She knew her work was being watched, but she never imagined something so big was about to happen. Manuel took a deep breath before speaking. "We have an important event coming up with some of the biggest investors in the hotel chain, and you will be in charge of the reception. It will be your responsibility to make sure everything goes well. The guests, the organization, and of course, the impression they have of our company. This is a great opportunity for you." Camilla was speechless for a moment. The responsibility was great, but her mind quickly began to gather itself. "I can't fail now. This is the chance I've been waiting for. I've learned a lot. Now I need to show what I can do." "I accept, Manuel," she replied firmly, trying to hide the anxiety that was beginning to emerge. "I'll do my best." Manuel smiled and gave a slight nod, as if he knew he had made the right choice. "I knew you would say that. I have confidence in you." In the days that followed, Camilla threw herself headlong into the preparations. She was meticulous, detail-oriented, and left nothing to chance. With the help of her team, she planned every detail, from the design of the reception to the floral arrangements that would impress the investors as soon as they entered. Every piece of the event needed to be perfect, and Camilla was determined to make it happen. The big day arrived, and the hotel lobby was sparkling and impeccable. The reception tables were set up with care, the chairs were arranged symmetrically, and the staff's gazes were aligned with the same goal: to impress. Camilla walked around the room, inspecting every detail, making final adjustments. She knew this event wasn't just about the hotel, it was about her. This was her chance to shine. She put on her uniform with a touch of confidence, taking a deep breath. When the first investors began to arrive, Camilla was ready. She greeted them with a warm smile, greeting them with professionalism and warmth. "Welcome to our event," she said, her voice calm and assured. "I hope you have a wonderful experience with us." As the guests began to settle in, she coordinated the staff impeccably, organizing the reception areas and ensuring that everyone was served with maximum efficiency. There were small setbacks, such as a problem with the sound system, but Camilla didn't let that faze her. She handled the situation quickly, talking to the technicians and resolving the problem quickly. Meanwhile, Antonio, the owner of the hotel chain, was watching everything from afar. He was attentive to Camilla's every move, noting her posture and her way of dealing with challenging situations. At various times, he saw how she interacted with the investors and her team, always calm, always resolute. During the event, one of the investors, an imposing-looking man, approached Camilla. "Are you in charge of this organization?" he asked with a curious look. "Yes, sir. I'm Camilla, and I'm coordinating the reception for the event," she replied, with a professional smile. He looked at her for a moment, apparently assessing her. "Impressive. Everything is going perfectly well. You have a natural talent for leadership." The compliment made Camilla feel even more confident. She knew she was doing the best job possible, but hearing it from one of the most influential investors at the event made her heart beat faster. She knew she was earning respect, and more importantly, she was proving to herself that she was capable of much more than she had ever imagined. When the event came to a close, the room was filled with smiles, lively conversation, and satisfied investors. Camilla, exhausted but satisfied, walked to the backstage area. Antonio approached her, a proud smile on his face. "Camilla, you did an exceptional job," he said, his serious tone now softened by admiration. "I am so impressed with your leadership skills. You have proven to all of us that you are ready for great challenges." Camilla felt a wave of pride and gratitude wash over her. "Thank you, Antonio. I couldn't have done it without everyone's support, and of course without the chance you gave me. That means a lot to me." Antonio gave a slight nod. "I always knew you had what it took. Now we all know." The event was going perfectly until an unexpected setback occurred. At the most crucial moment, when the investors were about to head to the stage for an important presentation, the sound system failed. The sound cut off abruptly, and an uncomfortable silence filled the room. Camilla, who had been closely watching the program, immediately realized the problem. Her mind began to race. She knew that a technical error like that could ruin the entire event, but she didn't have time to hesitate. Instead of panicking, she took a deep breath and, with impressive speed, addressed the nearest sound technician, a nervous man who seemed a little lost in the situation. "Calm down, don't worry," Camilla said in a firm but welcoming voice. "We'll sort this out." She turned to the support team and, in a low, quick tone, gave the necessary instructions so that everyone could move quickly. "Transition to the backup microphones and arrange for the investors to come in the correct order. I need everyone in position to make sure nothing goes wrong." Meanwhile, she approached the stage, where the host was starting to fidget with the growing crowd. Camilla walked quickly toward him, keeping a smile on her face even as the pressure was evident. "We have a small technical issue," she explained, the calm in her voice helping to ease the tension. "But it will be resolved soon. Just carry on as if nothing happened." The host looked at her gratefully and nodded. Camilla knew his trust in her was essential at this moment. While the technicians struggled to fix the problem, Camilla used her presence to keep the investors distracted. She made a few light, polite comments, approaching people in the front rows, encouraging casual conversation to divert attention from the problem. She knew the last thing the guests wanted was to sit on edge, waiting, not knowing what was going on. 5 minutes passed, but Camilla never lost control. When the sound system finally started working again, she was the first to applaud the technical team, making it clear that their work was vital to the success of the event. "Thank you, everyone. Now, let's get on with the program," she exclaimed with renewed energy. The event went on as planned, without any further incidents, and everyone's attention soon turned to the stage, where the investors began their presentation. But what many didn't realize was how much the moment of crisis had been diffused by one person alone: Camilla. She had maintained her calm, her composure, and most importantly, the confidence of those around her. As the evening drew to a close, and the investors were getting ready to leave, one of the most influential investors approached Camilla with a smile on his lips. "I've been watching you," he said, with a tone of approval. "What happened at the beginning was a shock for all of us, but your ability to keep everything under control was remarkable. You have a future, girl." Camilla smiled, feeling a wave of relief and pride. "Thank you. I just did my job, and of course everyone here was essential for everything to go well." Antonio was watching everything, and he couldn't help but notice how calmly Camilla handled the setback. She not only controlled the situation, but also made it look easy. To him it was obvious. Camilla was no longer just a rookie trying to learn. She was a leader. As she passed Antonio, he patted her lightly on the back. "I knew you would shine," he said, his eyes full of satisfaction. "You have everything it takes to go far. Impressive." She looked at him, feeling the weight of his approval. "Thank you, Antonio. It wouldn't have been possible without your trust in me." The day after the event was marked by an atmosphere of celebration. Camilla was at the hotel, finishing up some administrative tasks, when, looking out the window of her office, she saw a familiar figure entering the lobby. A chill ran down her spine. It was Ramiro, her old boss, with that arrogant smile she never wanted to see again. He still looked as imposing as before, wearing a dark suit that exuded confidence. Camilla couldn't believe he was there. Ramiro approached the reception desk with determined steps. When the manager recognized him, he immediately went to meet him. "Mr. Ramiro, what brings you here?" he asked, a little surprised. "I need to talk to Camilla," Ramiro replied with a serious expression. "It's a personal matter." Camilla, who had been watching everything from a distance, knew that this conversation would not be good. Her heart raced, but she didn't let it shake. She got up from her chair and went to the reception, trying to maintain her composure. When she got closer, Ramiro looked her up and down, as if he were seeing the same young woman from before, without considering the changes she had experienced. "So, Camilla," he began, his tone sarcastic, "who would have thought that you, a simple waitress, could make it this far, huh? I thought the only place for you was serving coffee and dishes. But here you are, thinking you're a professional." Camilla felt anger bubbling in her chest, but she kept calm. "I didn't think I was anything, Ramiro. I was just worthy enough to do the right thing. And unlike you, I don't choose who deserves help." Ramiro laughed, as if he were hearing a bad joke. "You've always been too much of a dreamer, Camilla. I thought that deep down you would know that the world doesn't give you anything for free. You're only here by luck. Believing in values like kindness and compassion is the kind of thing that only works for those who have nothing left to lose." Camilla felt a slight tension in her hands, but she knew she couldn't let it affect her. "I think you're wrong, Ramiro. The world may be tough, but people like you would never understand what it's like to fight with your heart, and I don't need your approval to know that I'm on the right path." At that moment, Antonio, who had entered the lobby discreetly, watching the scene from afar, approached without hesitation. He positioned himself next to Camilla, supporting her silently but firmly. Ramiro's face changed immediately. Antonio's presence was enough to make anyone fall silent. "Ramiro," Antonio said with impressive calm, but with an authority that could not be ignored. "You are in my house now, and here it is up to you to decide who deserves respect, and Camilla, without a doubt, deserves all my respect." Ramiro looked at Antonio with an expression that mixed disdain and surprise. I did not expect to see you involved in a game of pity. She is nothing more than a simple waitress who took advantage of an old man's kindness to get where she is." Antonio gave a cold and unfriendly smile. "I see that you still do not understand. Camilla did not take advantage of anyone. She has something that you never had: character. And that is why she is here, growing and conquering. It was not luck, nor anyone's help. It was her work and her integrity." Ramiro looked furious, but he knew he couldn't argue anymore. He opened his mouth to respond, but Antonio interrupted firmly. "If you continue with this behavior, I will ask you to leave my hotel immediately. I do not tolerate disrespect, not towards my employees, not towards anyone." Ramiro, with nothing to say, gave Camilla and Antonio one last furious look before turning his back and leaving the hotel, muttering words under his breath, but not daring to turn back. When Ramiro finally disappeared through the glass door, Camilla turned to Antonio, thanking him with a smile. "Thank you, Antonio. I knew I had done the right thing, but you gave me the strength I needed to not doubt myself." Antonio smiled, placing his hand on her shoulder. "I'm not one to make promises, Camilla, but you have everything it takes to keep growing. Don't let anyone make you doubt that. What you did was admirable, and your kindness will always take you to incredible places." Camilla felt a wave of gratitude and respect for Antonio. It wasn't just for the job or the chance he had given her, but for the support he was showing her at that moment. It was confirmation that she was on the right path, even when the past tried to pull her back. Camilla had dedicated herself body and soul to her work at the hotel, showing an impressive ability to deal with challenges and, at the same time, demonstrating a positive attitude that won over everyone around her. She was becoming increasingly known among her colleagues, not only for her performance, but for the way she treated everyone with respect and affection. That day, Camilla was in the office, reviewing the guest spreadsheets, when the door softly opened. It was her boss, Marta, a woman with an imposing bearing and a firm voice, but who always demonstrated common sense and wisdom in the decisions she made. She came in and closed the door behind her, smiling discreetly but warmly. "Camilla, do you have a moment?" Marta asked, with a look that left no doubt. Something important was coming. "Of course, Marta," Camilla replied, a little curious but trying to remain calm. She still didn't know what to expect. Marta sat in the chair in front of Camilla's desk, her eyes focused on her attentively. "I've been observing your work over the last few months, and I can't help but notice how you've stood out, not only for your technical competence, but also for the way you deal with pressure situations. You've shown an incredible talent for coordinating everything with an impressive calm." Camilla, although she was used to receiving compliments, felt her heart beat faster. This wasn't just any recognition. The way Marta spoke made it clear that something bigger was coming. I really appreciate it, Marta. I really try to do my best," Camilla said, smiling a little shy, but feeling a wave of gratitude for the trust her boss placed in her. Marta smiled back and paused before continuing. "So it is with great pleasure that I inform you that you are being promoted. From now on, you will be our new event management assistant." Camilla was speechless for a moment. She didn't even know what to say or what to do. A mixture of surprise and emotion took over her, and it was hard to hold back the tears that began to threaten her eyes. "But I don't know what to say, Marta," she said, her voice choked. "I always thought I didn't have enough for this, that I wasn't the kind of person who could be recognized like this." Marta looked at her fondly and answered in a soft but authoritative voice. "Camilla, you have already proven yourself more than enough, and it's not just about having experience, but about having courage, dedication, and an honest heart, which you have in abundance. Don't underestimate yourself anymore." Marta's words were like a balm for the insecurities that still haunted Camilla. She remembered everything she had been through, how she had started out as a simple waitress and how life had seemed to give her nothing but hardships. And now, here she was, being recognized in a way she never imagined possible. She had not only earned respect, but also the respect of the right people, of someone who knew how to recognize the value of her work and her ethics. You will be coordinating important events from now on, Camilla. I know you have the ability to take our hotel to new heights, Marta said confidently, and I want you to know that even when challenges arise, you have our full support. Camilla took a deep breath, trying to process everything that had just happened. She looked at Marta with immense gratitude, the words finally leaving her mouth. I will not disappoint you. I will work even harder to deserve this opportunity. Marta smiled, standing up to shake Camilla's hand. I know you will, and this is just the beginning. As Camilla walked away from Marta's office, her heart was at peace, but also pulsing with excitement. The promotion didn't just mean a new position. It meant that she had exceeded all the expectations that the world and even herself had for her. That kind young woman, who had once been fired for doing good, was now a powerful and respected woman. She headed to her new office, feeling that everything she had done so far had a purpose. It wasn't just about growing professionally, but about proving to herself that she had what it took to succeed, not just at the hands of others, but on her own merit. The pace of Camilla's life at the hotel continued to grow with each passing day. She felt more confident in her role as an event management assistant, and her dedication did not go unnoticed. However, there was always something new ahead of her, and she knew that with the support of Marta and Antonio, she was being prepared for great challenges. It was one quiet morning, while Camilla was finalizing the details of a corporate event at the hotel, that she was called to Antonio's office. Her heart raced. Meetings with him were always important, and Camilla felt a mix of anxiety and excitement. When she entered the office, she found Antonio with a smile on his face, but with a look that conveyed something more, as if he were about to give her news that would change her life even more. Camilla, he began, standing up from his chair and looking at her with an air of satisfaction, you have done an exceptional job here, and you have shown yourself to be a professional of the highest level. You have earned the trust not only of me, but of everyone who has worked around you. Camilla smiled shyly, a little nervous but proud when she heard Antonio's words. Thank you very much, Antonio. I have only tried to do my best, she replied, humbly, knowing that her journey had not been easy, but that every step taken so far had been worth it. You have surpassed yourself, Camilla, and that does not go unnoticed, Antonio said, pausing. He then leaned forward a little, as if the news he was about to give her was very important. That is why I would like to offer you a unique opportunity. We are about to open a new hotel in Monterey, and I want you to be one of the main people responsible for this opening. Camilla was silent for a moment, processing Antonio's words. Monterey! It was a city full of possibilities and challenges, and the idea of being chosen to be part of something so big left her speechless. The reality was becoming more concrete by the second, but also much more challenging. I don't know what to say. Monterey, Camilla stammered, trying to understand if she was really hearing that correctly. But I've never worked on such a big project. Am I the right person for this? Antonio smiled, understanding her insecurities. I know you have your doubts, Camilla, but that's exactly why I thought of you. You have a vision that is hard to find, and your ability to adapt to new situations and challenges is what really matters. And I trust that you will be up to the responsibility. He got up from his chair and walked to a nearby table, picking up an envelope. Here are the details. It's going to be a great opportunity, but also a chance to show the world what you're capable of. Camilla took the envelope with trembling hands, She couldn't believe she was receiving such a big offer. Monterey, a new hotel, a giant step in her career. It was more than she had ever imagined. But at the same time, a sense of pride and gratitude flooded her heart. "I will accept, Antonio," she said finally, her voice firmer. "I won't disappoint you." Antonio smiled, visibly satisfied. "I knew you would say that. And I'm sure you'll do an incredible job. You're one of the most dedicated and reliable people I've ever met." Time passed quickly for Camilla, and each day in Monterey seemed more challenging and rewarding. She was getting used to the intense work routine and feeling increasingly comfortable with the new responsibilities she was taking on. The new hotel was becoming one of the company's jewels, and Camilla was at the heart of it all, coordinating large-scale events and dealing with high-profile clients and investors. Her performance did not go unnoticed. It was one of those mornings when she was putting the finishing touches on an international event at the hotel that Antonio called her back for an important meeting. Camilla had been feeling increasingly at ease with Antonio's decisive and welcoming manner, but this time there was something different in his expression. He seemed even more enthusiastic than usual. "Camilla, you have exceeded all expectations," Antonio said, with a genuine smile on his face. "I knew you had great potential, but what you have done here has been impressive, and I want to give you an opportunity to go even further." Camilla looked at him, curious but a little apprehensive. "What do you mean, Antonio?" "I'm inviting you to represent our company in leadership development programs. These programs are for executives who have exceptional potential, and I believe you're one of those people," Antonio explained, his eyes shining with confidence. "It's a chance to learn from the best, to grow as a leader, and also to connect with other outstanding professionals around the world." Camilla was speechless for a few seconds, trying to process what she was hearing, representing the company in a leadership program. It was an opportunity she had never imagined she would have. Her dream of professional growth was coming true in a way she never thought possible. I don't know what to say. This is an honor, Antonio," she finally managed to say, her voice shaking a little, but full of gratitude. "I really want this opportunity. I'm going to do my best." Antonio nodded, his eyes proud. "I know you will. And this is your chance to continue proving to everyone that you have what it takes to be one of the great leaders in our company." These words from Antonio made Camilla feel more determined than ever. She knew that with dedication and effort, she could achieve even more. And now she was about to embark on a path that would take her to a new level in her career. She would prepare herself to face the challenges of the leadership program with the same spirit of overcoming that had always guided her. A few months later, during a quiet weekend in Monterey, Camilla received a very special visit. Her mother and her brother, Felipe, came to see her and spend time with her. Camilla was eager to see them. She missed her family and wanted to share with them everything she had achieved. Since she moved to Monterey, her professional life had been taking directions she never imagined, but she always missed her family. When her family arrived at the hotel, the reception was full of hugs and smiles. Camilla was radiant, but at the same time excited. She took them to see the new hotel, showing them all the details of the place that was now part of her life. Her mother watched everything with pride in her eyes, while Felipe, her brother, kept commenting on how Camilla's life had changed. "I still remember when you were working in that restaurant, trying to support our family," Donna Clara said, her voice breaking. "And now look where you've come. This is the result of your hard work and your kindness. You deserve it all." Camilla smiled, remembering her journey, from the hard times at the restaurant to the big change in her life. She looked at her mother and said with a sincere smile, "I never imagined I could come this far. But you know, it all started when I decided to do the right thing, when I helped that man, Don Julian." I never imagined that it would change my life so much. Felipe looked at her with admiration. You've always been amazing, Camilla, and now you're reaping the rewards of your courage. We always knew you were going to conquer the world. The conversation continued into the afternoon, with lots of laughter and a few tears, as Camilla reflected on the major transformation in her life. She thought about the day she was fired from her old job, how hopeless the situation had seemed, but she also thought about all the doors that had opened since that moment. The kindness she had shown was the key to a new life, full of opportunities she could never have imagined. That night, while her family rested at the hotel, Camilla stood on the balcony, looking out over the city of Monterrey. The lights shone below her, reflecting her state of mind. She had faced many challenges, but most importantly, she had overcome them. Every step she took was a victory, and she knew that with the support of people like Antonio and her own determination, she could achieve even more. With a heart full of gratitude, Camilla lay down that night, thinking about the promising future that awaited her. The life she dreamed of was coming true, and she knew that no matter the obstacles, she would be able to overcome any challenge. Her story was just beginning, and it would certainly be a story of overcoming that would inspire everyone who followed. Did you like the story about Camilla? Then leave your like, subscribe to our channel, and activate the notification bell. By doing so, you will continue to receive perfect stories like this one. A big hug, and until next time.